Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamakalpataruragalitam phalam sukamukadamrita dravasamyutam bivata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatorjayam udirayet Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Readings from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter number 11. In the subject matter of Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka, text number 19. Varamukyascha shatasho Varamukyascha satasho Yanaistaddarshanotsukaha Yanaistaddarshanosukah Lasat kundala nirbhata Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha Kapola vadana shriyaha Varamukyascha sataso Yanaistaddarshanotsukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha. Prabhus. Varamukyascha satasho Yanaistaddarshanotsukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha Varamukyascha shatasho Yanaistaddarshanotsukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha Varamukyascha shatasho Yanaistaddarshanoshukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha Varamukyascha satasho Yanaistaddarshanoshukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha. Matajis. Varamukyascha satasho Yanaistaddarshanoshukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriya Varamukyascha shatasho Yanai sadashano shukaha Lasat kundala nirbhata Kapola vadana shriyaha Varamukyaha well-known prostitutes Cha and Shatashaha hundreds of Yanehi by vehicles Tad darshana for meeting him, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Utsukaha very much anxious. Lasat hanging. Kundala earrings. Nirbhata dazzling. Kapola forehead. Vadana face. Shriyaha beauty. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, please repeat. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. Purport. We may not hate even the prostitutes if they are devotees of the Lord. Even to date, there are many prostitutes in great cities of India who are sincere devotees of the Lord. By tricks of chance, one may be obliged to adopt a profession which is not very adorable in society, but that does not hamper one in executing devotional service to the Lord. Devotional service to the Lord is uncheckable in all circumstances. It is understood herewith that even in those days, about 5,000 years ago, there were prostitutes in a city like Dwaraka, where Lord Krishna resided. This means that prostitutes are necessary citizens for the proper upkeep of society. The government opens wine shops, but this does not mean that the government encourages the drinking of wine. The idea is that there is a class of men who will drink at any cost, and it has been experienced that prohibition in great cities encouraged illicit smuggling of wine. Similarly, men who are not satisfied at home require such concessions. And if there is no prostitute, then such low men will induce others into prostitution. It is better that prostitutes be available in the marketplace so that the sanctity of the society can be maintained. Excuse me. It is better to maintain a class of prostitutes than to encourage prostitutes within society. The real reformation is to enlighten all people to become devotees of the Lord, and that will check all kinds of deteriorating factors of life. Sri Bilvamangala Thakura, a great acharya of the Vishnu Swami Vaishnava sect, in his householder life was overly attached to a prostitute who happened to be a devotee of the Lord. One night, when Thakura came to Chintamani's house in torrents of rain and thunder, Chintamani was astonished to see that Thakura could come on such a dreadful night after crossing a foaming river which was full of waves. She said to Bilvamangala Thakura that his attraction for the flesh and bone of an insignificant woman like her would be properly utilized if it could be diverted to the devotional service of the Lord to achieve attraction for the transcendental beauty of the Lord. It was a momentous hour for the Thakura, and he took a turn towards spiritual realization by the words of a prostitute. Later on, the Thakura accepted the prostitute as his spiritual master, and in several places of his literary works, he has glorified the name of Chintamani, who showed him the right path. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 32, the Lord says, quote, "O son of Pritha, even the low-born Chandalas and those who are born in a family of unbelievers, and even the prostitutes shall attain perfection of life if they take shelter of unalloyed devotional service to me. Because in the path of devotional service there are no impediments due to degraded birth and occupation. The path is open for everyone who agrees to follow it." Unquote. It appears that the prostitutes of Dwaraka, who were so eager to meet the Lord, were all his unalloyed devotees, and thus they were all on the path of salvation according to the above version of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, the only reformation that is necessary in society is to make an organized effort to turn the citizens into devotees of the Lord, and thus all good qualities of the denizens of heaven will overtake them in their own way. On the other hand, those who are non-devotees have no good qualification whatsoever, however they may be materially advanced. The difference is that the devotees of the Lord are on the path of liberation, whereas the non-devotees are on the path of further entanglement in material bondage. The criterion of advancement of civilization is whether the people are educated and advanced on the path of salvation.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langaite girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinadaranam Paramanandamatum Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Katanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukharam Bhavet Vismrite Vipritam Syat Shri Chaitanyam Namamitam. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Jayapataka Swamniti Namne Nama Acharya Padaya Nitaya Kripapatayani Gaura Gata Bandayani Parikramatarini Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So we'll read the translation one more time. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings,
which enhance the beauty of their foreheads. Hare Krishna. So we are in the subject matter of the first canto, creation, in the 11th chapter, in the subject matter of Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. Lord Krishna is returning from Hastinapur to Dwaraka. So here so many different sections of the society are eagerly coming forward to welcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. They were so eager. They were in great melancholy, sadness in the absence of Krishna before. But as soon as they heard the conch shell blown by Krishna, as soon as they heard, they were enlivened, and their life came back, and they started with great enthusiasm to take darshan of Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So in this particular verse, we are discussing about one small section of the society. It is mentioned, hundreds of prostitutes began to proceed in order to take darshan of Krishna with great eagerness. So here Prabhupada is mentioning how Lord Krishna accepts the devotional service of all sections of society. All living entities, all human beings are eligible to render devotional service, because it is the nature of the living entity to serve Krishna all the time. Jivera swarupahe Krishnera nityadas. We are all eternal servants of Krishna. That is our eternal nature. So the devotional service, to render devotional service, bhakti is already there within our heart. It's a question of how it gets awakened. So here Prabhupada mentions in the Purport that devotional service is not dependent on material situations. A very important aspect of devotional service. So devotional service is not dependent on material situation. So we all come across so many situations in life. Sometimes we tend to have a tendency, okay, if that situation is favorable, I will render devotional service, otherwise I'll move down. So here the point is, under any situation, devotional service can be performed, under any circumstances. So devotional service is not bound by any specific situation. Wherever we are, we can render devotional service. And that is reiterated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by saying that we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra under any circumstances. There is no hard and fast rule while chanting the holy names of the Lord. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrarpita niyamitaha smaranena kalaha yetadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdhaivami drishamiha janina anuragaha. So there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names of the Lord. But unfortunately we don't have the taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord. That's our unfortunate situation. So anyone and everyone can take up to the holy names and chant the holy names of the Lord. So this is not that one should be a brāhmana or one should be in a high class society to practice devotional service. Anybody can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Anyone can take up to pure devotional service. So there is no hard and fast rule in that. We have many instances in the history where people who have come from lower than Shudra families, who have taken birth in families which are lower than Shudras and have become great Vaishnava devotees. Many instances are there in the history, in the scriptures are quoted. So we have the here Prabhupada mentions about Bilva Mangal Thakur and Chintamani the prostitute. So Chintamani the prostitute is a devotee of Krishna. So she
she's advising Bilva Thakura when he approaches her for sense enjoyment. In a dreadful night, it was pouring rain and thunder. In spite of all these situations, he's coming just to basically satisfy his senses. And Chintamani was astonished to see the dedication and determination of Bilva Thakura. So she was advising him, if you show this kind of dedication and determination to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you will become a great Vaishnava, a great devotee. And then that stuck in the heart of Bilva Thakura, and he became a wonderful Vaishnava devotee. So anybody can take up the devotional service. Here the prostitute is already a devotee. And we know another instance from the life of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, Namacharya, he was always chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He's always chanting the holy names of the Lord. And even devotees of the Lord are not exempted from having envious enemies. So he had one envious person. So he recruited one prostitute to go and disturb and demean the name of Haridas Thakur. So this prostitute, with the devious mind, she came to disturb Haridas Thakur, to engage him in sense enjoyment. Haridas Thakur was not disturbed. He said to the prostitute, "Okay, my dear lady, please have a seat. I have a specific number of holy names to chant. As soon as I finish chanting, I'll satisfy your desire." So Haridas Thakur was chanting, and the day got over, and then the next day morning came, and then the prostitute left, and then she came back another night, and then this was going on. So after a couple of days, this prostitute also started chanting the holy names of the Lord. And then she became a pure devotee. And then she sought forgiveness from Haridas Thakur. "Oh my dear Lord, please forgive me. I came with this intention, but because of your purity, my heart is transformed. Now I will take up to the path of chanting the holy names of the Lord." So this is the beauty of devotional service. This is the power of devotional service. And this is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. The pure devotees of the Lord has the capability, has the capacity to turn even the lowest of the lowest into Vaishnavas. This is the potency of pure devotional service. This is the potency of the pure Vaishnavas. It is explained, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Even a moment's association with the pure devotees of the Lord can make us pure. Srila Prabhupada gives example, analogy. When an iron rod is in constant touch with the fire, then the iron rod gets all the properties of the fire. The iron rod turns into fire. And then we can mold this rod into any shape we want. So when we are always constantly in the association of pure devotees, then we are sure to become pure devotees. This is the beauty of devotionals, whoever we may be. And Prabhupada demonstrated by his personal example how he purified so many members who came to him to practice Krishna consciousness. They were all from a different background, with all sorts of abominable habits. Prabhupada simply gave his association. Prabhupada simply purified them by his own purity. The purity of the pure devotee can change the heart of anyone and everyone. So anyone can take up to devotional service. And all of us sitting here at some point of time or the other, we have taken a decision. We have taken a decision to take up to the path of devotional service. All of us sitting here at some point. Before that we were a different set of individuals. We are all different set of individuals, but at one moment we took a decision, yes, I want to come into Krishna consciousness. This happened in the life of Bilvamangal Thakur. He was a sense enjoyer before, but at one point he got the click in his mind by the words of this prostitute, Chintamani. And then the whole life turned out from him. And all of us have that same example. We all have taken up to devotional service because of the mercy of someone or the other who have just clicked the right button on our life. I am very fortunate to have that mercy from a wonderful Vaishnava devotee who turned that button on for me. And that devotee is sitting in this hall today. Now in front of me here, His Grace Kanaya Giridhari Prabhu. If this devotee had not been here, I will not be in Krishna consciousness. I have given him so much of trouble. He knows, he is the best person to explain about that. I have given him so much of trouble, and he was so patient and tolerant. And he, day after day, week after week, he was preaching, and I was ignoring him. And because of his constant, tolerant pursuance to encourage me in devotional service and few other youngsters like me 20 years before, we came to Krishna consciousness. That's the mercy of the devotees, Vaishnavas. Unless we have the mercy of these wonderful Vaishnavas, that we can't imagine taking up the devotional service. So these Vaishnavas have the power to turn the heart by their own personal practices. They can inspire us. These are all practical examples. I'm sure each one of us have one such Vaishnava who have inspired us to come to the path of devotional service and continue in this path of devotional service. Not all of us are coming from a high-fi Brahmana family. Oh, I know all the shlokas, Vedas, all the Bhagavad Gita, scriptures. No. Many of us are not from that background. Even if we have come from that background, we don't have any idea about what is Bhagavad Gita and things. At least me, for example, although I hail from a Madhva family, I do not know anything about Madhva culture. Whenever I asked my parents, they said, I do not know. But we were following certain basic things here and there. That's an unfortunate situation. Until we came in touch with the practicing Vaishnava, this is not possible. So devotees of the Lord are very merciful. They can turn even the most lowest type of human beings into devotees. That is the power of devotional service. That is the power of pure devotional service. So in the society, what is required? Srila Prabhupada mentions here, the real reformation is to enlighten all people to become devotees of the Lord, and that will check all kinds of deteriorating factors. So these are the words of Prabhupada from the Purport. What is the real reformation? We need to reform. We have to change ourselves. We have to bring some change in our lives, in the lives of the society, lives of the people in the society. What is that reformation? To bring everybody into Krishna consciousness. That is exactly what we need to do. Without any discrimination. Oh, he is a Brahmana, he can become a devotee. No, you are not a Brahmana, you cannot become a devotee. No such discrimination. It should be available for everyone. It should be available for everyone. That is the nature of reformation Prabhupada was looking at. And he did that by his own demonstration. He took very seriously the instructions given by his spiritual master, his divine grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that he has to go to the West to preach Krishna consciousness in English. He took it very seriously. When he went there, he didn't know anyone. He didn't have much money. He had a trunkload of Bhagavatam. But he had the firm faith in the words of his spiritual master. And with that faith, he transformed. He built so many temples. He made so many wonderful Vaishnavas, turned them into pure devotees, made them into gurus who can accept disciples all over the world. So this is the potency of the pure devotees. So from these examples, it's very clear that everyone is eligible for supreme destination. Everyone is eligible. Anybody who wants to go back home, back to Godhead, who has eagerness to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are eligible for that. When they take up to the path of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So here we see the prostitutes were very, very eager. The eagerness is there to have darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what is important. That's the most important factor. One may be a non-devotee, one may be an atheist. He may have wonderful, beautiful qualities, but what's the use of that? One may be very, very humble. Being humble without understanding who Krishna is useless. It is not going to take us back home, back to God. It is not going to help us to come out of the cycle of birth, old age, disease, death. So this is something we need to think about. So having wonderful qualities is one thing, but being a practicing devotee means he gets automatically all the wonderful qualities of the devatas, demigods, all the nice qualities he automatically gets. So one just have to be a practicing devotee, thinking that he is a servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then automatically that person will follow the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada harihi. Amanina manadena. Give all respects to others. Do not expect respect from others. So when we are in this mood to render service, then we are definitely sure to go back home, back to Godhead. So we will not commit any offenses to the Vaishnavas. When we don't commit offenses to the Vaishnavas, that's the greatest thing one can achieve in devotional service. So Vaishnava aparadha is a mad elephant offense. So it can spoil all the efforts. So one should be very careful while rendering devotional service. All the time we should be aware of what is our position. Our position is always humble servants. So when we render devotional service in that mood, then everybody can go back home, back to Godhead. So in this verse, Prabhupada is quoting from Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 32nd verse. So where he mentions, O son of Pritha, even the low-born Chandalas and those who are born in the family of unbelievers, and even the prostitutes shall attain perfection of life if they take shelter of unalloyed devotional service to me. Because in the path of devotional service, there are no impediments due to degraded birth or occupation. The path is open for everyone who agrees to follow it. So it's very clear. These are Krishna's words from Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 32nd verse. So in that verse, a specific word is used, vyapashrutya. Vyapashrutya means one who takes shelter. Whoever it is. When he or she takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the life is perfect. So here it says Shudras, prostitutes, Chandalas, the lowest, all of Anyone can take up the devotional service. So this is the potency of devotional service. Anyone and everyone can practice devotional service.
So another important point mentioned by Prabhupada here is this we discussed already, how we can take up the devotional service at one single moment that turns our entire life. So one time, one person came to my house when I was in the Middle East. One person came to my house and introduced himself as Prabhu, I am an atheist. He entered the house saying, sorry, I'm an atheist, he said, yeah. He entered my house by saying, I'm an atheist. So I said, okay, please come in, have a seat. He went for some blood donation camp, and then there some devotees were there. They said, please go and meet so-and-so person. He's conducting some classes, it will be very interesting for you to join. So he came and told them. So I said, yes, weekly once we are having a Bhagavad Gita discussion. So you can come and join. If you're interested, you participate. If you're not interested, we could be good friends. You can come and take some prasad with us. Then next week this person came, and then he quietly sat through 1 hour class, where we were discussing, and then he took prasadam. He didn't utter a single word. He just introduced himself. So I'm so and so, so and so. And then next week he came. Again he did the same thing. Next 3-4 weeks he did the same thing. And on the 5th week he came and asked me, can I come in the morning and read Bhagavad Gita in your home? I said, okay, please come. So 7 o'clock in the morning daily he used to come to my home. He started reading Bhagavad Gita. I didn't disturb him. I was doing my own work. He was reading for half an hour, and then he left for his work. And then after a few days he said, can I get some food here? I said, okay. So he packed some lunch prasadam, he ate some breakfast, and then he left. Again he didn't speak anything at all. And then he said, can I chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day in the morning here? Can you give me a bead? So I gave him a bead. I taught him how to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. With all these things are happening without speaking many words at all, right? So he started chanting, and after that, he is basically a mountain climber by his nature. His hobby is to climb mountains. He runs 10 kilometers, like that long marathon. He does all these things. And then slowly he started, Prabhu, I'm losing interest in my marathon. Is it good or not? I said, oh, okay. If you're losing interest, what can you do about it? You can't do much about it. Focus on what you're interested in. No, I'm interested in this Bhagavad Gita book. Can I borrow this? Then he took the book home, and then he started reading, and slowly he lost full interest in this long marathon, mountain climbing, so many different things. And then he started attending the classes regularly, and then he took shelter from His Holiness Bhakti-Vikas Swami Maharaj, and then took his initiation, and then he is preaching now. So all this transformation takes place because he got the association of Srila Prabhupada books. The person who came into the home saying that he is an atheist. So everybody has a hope here. Everybody has a hope when we follow Srila Prabhupada's guidelines, when we follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Everybody has a hope, provided we are very sincere. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dadhami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So one should be very, very sincere. Then Krishna gives the intelligence from within. So one need not worry, oh, what will happen to me? I do not know this, I do not know that. No, Krishna gives the intelligence. Srila Prabhupada sent devotees in early days to go to different places to start temples. Devotees were worried, oh, what do I know about opening a temple? But Prabhupada gave the empowerment. He empowered these devotees. Because of Prabhupada's mercy, everybody were able to do. Krishna gave that intelligence. So we need to take that little risk. What is that risk? We need to take the risk of jumping into devotional service with faith
in Srila Prabhupada's words. Then we can become purified, we can help others to get purified. So this is a very important aspect of devotional service. Very important aspect of having association with pure devotees. If transformation of heart is not taking place after rendering devotional service, that means we are doing something wrong. So we should understand that we are going something wrong. So we should go back to our spiritual master, to the senior devotees, to the scriptures, to check where we are going wrong. Because devotional service, the path of devotional service is foolproof. Nobody can fail in that if we do properly. It's a science. There's no question of wrong conclusion there. It's all tried and tested. Unless we do something wrong, so we should keep on introspecting ourselves where we are going wrong. If we are not getting the taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord, or reading the scriptures, or not getting interest, that eagerness what prostitutes had here, that eagerness is missing, then something is going wrong with us. So we should immediately check that, where we are going wrong. We should take the shelter of spiritual master. We should take the guidance from senior Vaishnavas. Open our heart. These things are happening to me. Please help me. Then and there we should check that. We should keep advancing. We should keep on improving and advancing in devotional service. There should not be any stagnation at all. Every time we should take a little bit of risk. Okay, I'll do something more than this, something more than this, something more than this, what I am doing, by depending on Guru and Krishna. So there should not be a situation where we are stagnant. If you are stagnated, then we should understand immediately that something is wrong with us. We should not become complacent. Okay, I'm in a nice situation, I have a nice house, okay, this is okay for me. The moment we become complacent, then we should understand then our falling down is starting somewhere. So we should immediately take, these are the symptoms we should be aware of. So we should be cautious about these symptoms. And then we should immediately take the guidance of senior Vaishnavas, scriptures, spiritual masters. Then things will go in the right direction. Unless we do that, we have every chance of moving away from Krishna consciousness, which Prabhupada did not want us to do. Somehow or other we should catch hold of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, see how we can follow these instructions. Then the path is very clear for us. So this is something, as practicing devotees, all of us should be very clear about, so that, because falling down, anybody can fall down. Anybody can fall down at any time. Bharat Mahārāja was a very advanced devotee, but he got attached to a deer, and then he had to spend one more life as a deer. So we should not take such chances. We should not be complacent. We should be very, very serious in the practice of devotional service. That's why association is very, very important. All the time we should have the association of the devotees of the Lord. Then these anomalies can be gradually moved out of our life. So we should have that determination. Determination to render devotional service is disturbed when somebody is more attached to Bhoga and Aishwarya. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhoga Aishwarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhavna vidiyate. Those who are after sense enjoyment and opulence, Aishwarya, they don't have the firm determination to practice devotional service. So we should come out of that. That's what the Nectar of Instruction initial verses are talking about. So all these things, so many instructions are available. So many guidance are available. Everything is available right in front of us. It is for us to choose whether to follow or not to follow. The moment we start following these instructions, then the path is very clear for us. If we are hesitant, then there is a problem. So wherever problem is there, then there is a hesitation, or we have some other priority in mind. We should understand that clearly. Because the solutions are there. For all the problems, solutions are there. We don't have any new problem at all. Nobody has any new problem. Oh Prabhu, I'm in a very unique situation. I have a different problem. No. All the problems we are going through have already been gone through by so many people in the past. All the doubts we have, all those doubts are already been asked by so many people in the past. The questions are already answered. The solutions are already there for all the problems. We don't have any new problem at all. But unfortunately we think, oh, my problem is a great problem. No. The problems are there already. Everybody has a problem. This material world is anityam ashukam, Krishna says. Anityam. Anityam means temporary. Ashukam means no happiness at all here. If we search for happiness, no, it's not possible. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is the nature of this place. If we search for these things, it will not be available. Happiness, no, it's not available. If you want to enjoy, no, you cannot enjoy. The only enjoyer is Krishna. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. He is the ultimate enjoyer. If we falsely think, oh, I want to enjoy, then there's a problem. If we think, oh, I am the controller, I own this land, I own this house. No, Krishna is this proprietor. Everything is started from Krishna. So when we get these understanding and then start functioning with these understanding, then things will become easier for us. So this is the point we should clearly understand. These are the fundamentals of devotional service, to understand who we are, who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, and what is our relationship, what is the process we need to follow, and what is the ultimate goal of life. Sambandha, abhideya, prayojana. So this is what we should be clear about. These are the basics of Krishna consciousness. Then when we understand the basic and follow these guidelines properly, then things will become much, much easier. Then the path is very clear for us to go back home, back to Godhead, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, pure devotees, the previous acharyas. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or comments, you can share.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very inspiring class. Prabhuji, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that prostitution should be allowed in a society. So by occupation, it is a sinful activity, and we have 4 regulative principles. One of the 4 regulative principles is not to do illicit sex. So how do we understand that they are engaged in sinful activity, but at the same time they are very nicely practicing devotional service, developing attachment for the Lord? So how do we understand this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for the practicing devotee, the 4 regulative principles are recommended. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling and all. So if you want to advance in the path of devotional service, we need to practice these things. So Prabhupada has mentioned, if I'm sure you have read the purport, by the trick of chance, if one happens to be in that situation also, one can take up the devotional service. That's the point Prabhupada says. Under any situation, one can take up the devotional service. So it is better than being an atheist. It is better than being a non-believer of Krishna. So the neophyte devotees, the beginners in devotional service, many of us still have these tendencies to enjoy. We are not following Krishna's instructions perfectly. We are not following the scriptural injunctions perfectly, but still we are trying, right? So we are all trying our best. We do have a lot of anarthas within us in our day-to-day life. Still we are trying our best to practice devotional service. So when somebody is in touch with pure devotees of the Lord, whether one is a prostitute or anyone for that matter, in due course of time they will get purified. Like we have the example of the prostitute who came to seduce Haridas Thakur. She was in touch with pure devotees, she was purified, right? But there is always a class of people. Prabhupada gives an example of a government opening wine shops or giving license for wine shops. Doesn't mean government is encouraging that. Prabhupada mentions that in the purport. It's not that government is encouraging that, but it is facilitating for one class of men who cannot live without that because they are in that situation, right? For example, if you see this material world, why it came into existence? Why? Can you tell?
Because we wanted to enjoy.
Yeah, we wanted to enjoy away from Krishna. So what does Krishna do? Krishna has created a separate place for enjoyment. Then you, in due course of time, you get purified. He also gives a solution how to come out of the situation, right? He gives Bhagavad Gita, he sends pure Vaishnavas, he gives Shastric supports. And then after some point in time we realize, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, let me take up to the path of devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead, which is my original home. This is my ultimate home. Otherwise this place is not required. We all understand this is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's not required. But what to do? We wanted that. We wanted to enjoy away from Krishna, separately from Krishna. So Krishna has created this. And then he also created the way out. So those who are interested to going out of this miserable situation, yes, you can go out. So like that we have wine shops. In every cigarette packet you see smoking is injurious to health. You'll see that guideline. Have you seen? No, probably you have not seen. Yeah, I have seen. So smoking is injurious to health. It's written at the bottom. Probably it's in fine print, doesn't matter. But it is there. Right? So like that, in the wine shops, even in wine shops, if you see, all these things are happening. In certain places, wine shops are in such a remote place, it's very difficult to get access in some places. But nowadays, in so many different places, wine shops are there. The idea is, we should make it as difficult as possible for people to access. But those who are very, somehow I want to get this, they will go for that. It's not that it's easily available. So basically, the prostitutes are also there, but if they take up to devotional service, they get purified and then go back to Godhead. So we cannot ignore any section of the society. That's the point, right? In a society means there will be different sets of people with different levels of consciousness. So everybody is facilitated. So everybody can take up to devotional service. So we have to facilitate devotional service for everyone. So the moment they take up to devotional service, they are purified. But here, Prabhupada, the prostitutes that are mentioned here, it is mentioned, Prabhupada says these are all exalted members. So they are destined to go back to Godhead immediately after this life, after that life. So they are all exalted people. But even in our current, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, in the big cities, there are prostitutes who are devotees, who are favorable to Krishna consciousness. That itself is a great thing. If in this material world somebody is favorable to Krishna consciousness, that's a great thing. Right? There are many people who go and break the temples, hurt the devotees, harm the devotees. They are demons. Right? They are demons. Krishna mentions 4 types of people will never surrender to Krishna. The demons, foolish, those whose knowledge are stolen away by illusion, maya apahrita jnana. So these people will never think or be favorable towards Krishna consciousness. But these prostitutes, if they are Krishna conscious, what to do? As Prabhupada mentions, by trick of chance, they are into this profession. But the devotional service will purify them as they go forward. That's the point. Understand?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
My question is, Srila Prabhupada said, no lazies and no crazies in the movement. And Mahaprabhu gave us, or the 10 offenses, one of them is to not preach the glories of the holy name to the unfaithful. But as devotees, we're supposed to be very merciful. And if one has the heart to go after the one in darkness, or the most fallen, and we have the heart to go after the lazies and crazies, or the ones that are very offensive, like atheists, can we ignore these instructions of the acharyas, and when it comes to preaching, can we preach to the most fallen?
Good question. So we should know our position. At what position we are in. Do we have the strength to meet such people? Prabhupada met such people. Prabhupada met so many hippies who are into so many abominable habits. So Prabhupada had that capacity. Do we have that capacity? Are we very strong in devotional service? If we are strong in devotional service, we can go and preach to everyone. And another point is, it is mentioned, you can always inspire people to chant holy names. You need not go into the details of the glories of the holy names. The point in the 9th offense is, what is the 9th offense? To explain the glories to those who are not faithful. So we need not go into the details. We don't need to conduct we don't need to conduct a Harinam workshop for such faithless people to explain the glories, what happens, all these things need not be there. We can simply inspire. Simply say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you in your public program, if you do that, so many people will inspire to join you. They may not be so much aware of what we are talking about. Still, they will just by chanting one time of Harinam, their Sukruti, Bhakti-onmukhi Sukruti develops, and then they will take up to devotional service in due course of time. It's like a time bomb. Anytime it will work. We don't know how it works, when it works and all, but it will work definitely. Even one time when somebody takes up to devotional service, it takes up to holy names, it works. Sometimes we may not, we will be distributing prasadam. By taking prasadam, somebody gets inspired. So there are so many different ways to attract devotees. So it depends on which situation we are in, and then who are all with. Are we alone? Are we capable of convincing the other people? Or we are going to get dragged into their habits? So we should be very careful about that. So accordingly, we should approach while preaching the Krishna consciousness to people. So we should ensure that we are strong, right? Purity is the force. So we should practice nicely, and then there are many innocent people still in the world who have not taken up to Krishna consciousness. So we can focus on them. There are other devotees who will go and approach others who are in drunkards and things like that. They can go up and do that. According to our situation, we should do. When Prabhupada was giving a lecture, at the end of the lecture, one small girl was going around and saying, "Do you know who is Krishna?" Everybody was looking, what is that answer? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, Prabhupada said, she is a preacher because she says what she knows. And everybody was very happy with that. So whatever we know, we can preach to others, provided others are in a position to do. And we have to package Krishna consciousness in such a way that it reaches. It is not one single way, right? There are many different ways how we can inspire the devotees in Krishna consciousness, into Krishna consciousness. So we need to package it according to the crowd. The principles should be maintained, the details can vary. Rupa Goswami, in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada mentions in the 6th chapter about the principles and details before talking about the different ways of discharging devotional service. So he mentions the principles and details are two different things. Principles should be there. Whatever Krishna said in 5,000 years before are principles. That will be applicable throughout, eternally. But the details may vary. So according to the detail, according to the situation, you have to package the Krishna consciousness and give it to your audience. Yeah? Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for the class. Just a small comment on the question, the prostitutes and the regulative principles. So Prabhupada explains that they are forced into this profession because of their past karma, but the sincerity of purpose is there, that they want to attain lotus feet of Krishna. So that makes all the difference, because it's not something they chose to be. It's because of their previous birth, and because of our past sinful activities, we may be forced to accept certain profession.
Yeah.
And there is a class of people in India called Devadasis. It's actually a family lineage, and people are born and they are trained to take up this profession by birth, like by being born into such a class of people. But then they have realized that we cannot change our situation, but what we can do is take up devotional service, and that makes all the difference. And regarding the regulative principles, again, it's the sincerity of purpose. So we have a purpose that we want to do, like you said, unalloyed. Prabhupada says the key word is unalloyed devotional service. When you do this, then nothing else matters, because the sincerity of purpose is there. So thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good point, that we are all into certain professions because of our past situations, but all the situations can be changed simply by engaging in devotional service. Thanks, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for your inspiring class. I just want to add a comment, because I used to translate the Bhagavatam class, and I remember the last time we were talking about this verse, the speaker, he mentioned actually there are two kinds of prostitutes. Not all the prostitutes are engaged in illicit sex. Some prostitutes, they are just like the social ladies. They are just showing their talents. So it is quite possible these prostitutes are not all engaged in illicit sex. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thanks for the point. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantharaj ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.